Hello everybody, I'm Storm here, and today I wanted to do something a little bit different with Final Fantasy XIV, separate from the Let's Play series that I have been playing on my channel for quite some time now. And what I wanted to do was kind of go over some thoughts and predictions that I have in my head that I've been thinking about quite a bit for the upcoming Endwalker expansion, which is going to be releasing at the end of November of this year. Since now that we have the we've had the announcement showcase presentation, the keynote presentation at Fan Festival, and all the story patches are out, and all that's all done. That everything that we are going to know about the expansion before the expansion comes out, we know for the most part. We might still get a few tidbits here and there in live letters, but the big stuff is out. And so one of the things I like to do when I'm experiencing a story is to try and predict what's coming next. Shadowbringers caught me completely off guard. I mean, that took me for a ride, which is good. I like it when stories surprise me, right? So I wanted to put a lot of these ideas kind of down in some form that's on the record, essentially, so that if I turn out to be right in some of them, then, you know, I can say, hey, I called it 4 months ago. Just kind of silly, but no. It is what it is. Alright, so, my ideas range from, I guess, the patently obvious to some pants-on-head nuts ideas. That aren't even really predictions, they're more kind of like, wouldn't it be crazy if, ideas. So, for the obvious stuff, we'll knock that right out of the way, is, as far as the way the zones are going to be handled, that's going to be pretty standard. I'm thinking the first zone we're going to be going to almost certainly is going to be Charlean, which is the new hub city. I don't think we'll be going anywhere first. I mean, it's possible. I mean, they have done that before where, like, in Stormblood, we didn't get to Kugane, which was the big hub city, until a little ways into the expansion. But for Heavensward and Shadowbringers, we pretty much went to the hub city first. You know, Ishgard in Heavensward and the Crystarium in Shadowbringers. So I think we'll begin going to the hub city first, Charlean, and then from there we'll be heading out to the other zones. And I do anticipate that they are going to do the same thing they did in Shadowbringers, which is kind of split the path pretty much right away. Primarily because that's a load management method that they came up with in Shadowbringers to avoid some of the problems they had in Stormblood. In Stormblood, they ran into all kinds of load balancing problems with the players when the expansion released because people were just, you know, flooding through the first week of release. So I anticipate that we're going to be sent to two different directions, and that will just kind of naturally split the player base and spread everybody out. And I anticipate that the first zones that we'll be going to there are going to be Garlemald and Thavner. We know that those are two of the zones in the expansion, and we'll probably be seeing them first. People have been anticipating that we'll be going to the Garlemald at some point for a while now. And so I think they'll probably want to get us there relatively quickly. I also anticipate that both of those zones will be bifurcated in the same way that Lucia was and Amareng was in Stormblood, not Stormblood, Shadowbringers, and the way the Fringes, the Peaks, and Yansha were in Stormblood. So we'll go there first, only have access to a portion of the zone, and then we'll go there again later and get access to the rest of it. Also, going on the theme of the zones, I'm very, very certain that we will not... no, not that way. That the moon will not be the final zone of the expansion. Yeah, that's how I want to say that. Because we've seen too much of it. We've just seen way too much of the moon for that to be the big reveal final zone of the expansion. Right? You know, we're going to go there, we're going to do some things, it's going to be important, but we're going to come back. I'm almost certain. And do some more stuff on the actual planet itself as part of the conclusion of the expansion. So far, I only think we've seen material, you know, in 4 zones. Garlemald, Thavnair, Mare Lamentorum on the moon, and this Labyrinthos underground geofront zone, which looks very Charlian-esque. So we're missing 2, because there should be 6 zones in the expansion if they follow the same pattern as all the other expansions. So that should be interesting. They did show one piece of concept art. They showed kind of a floating island zone. That might be. That might be our final zone. But again, might not. I also think that we might actually end up joining forces with the other Asiates. Because there are still a few members of the Convocation of 14 we have not encountered yet. And they might be showing up, or some of them might be showing up to basically say, hey, this Fandaniel guy's nuts. He's a threat to not only you guys, but to us as well, and so we want to join up to help save our own skin. I could definitely see that being part of the story as well. And speaking of Fandaniel and Xenos, I think it's already been confirmed that they aren't going to be the final boss of the expansion. That neither of them will. So I don't think that's really a prediction per se. But what I do anticipate is that we'll be dealing with Xenos first. Probably mid-expansion and a trial similar to Titania in Shadowbringers. And that us defeating Xenos is actually what Fandaniel wants. Is that I think he's probably playing both us and Xenos. And when we beat him, it's actually going to be part of the plan. Whatever the plan is. We don't really hardly know. All we really know is what Fandaniel himself has told us. And I don't think we can believe him. There's definitely more going on. Almost certainly more going on. So Fandaniel will probably engage him or something related to him, because I don't anticipate us fighting him directly. And that'll be somewhere late expansion, probably similar in time frame in the expansion as what the Innocence fight was in Shadowbringers. Again, yeah, I anticipate that what will end up actually, if we're fighting anything, is something that either he has conjured, created, or awakened. Right? Because again, he's a sundered minion Ascian. He is not one of the unsundered, you know, head honcho Ascians that we dealt with in Shadowbringers, right? So to have him be able to engage us on a level exceeding Emmett Selk and Elidibus doesn't make any narrative sense. So, I, again, don't think we'll be engaging him directly. Doesn't also seem to be his style. He doesn't seem to be the kind of guy who's going to want to, you know, get into a direct confrontation with us. Now, as far as who we might end up fighting toward the end, one of the crazier ideas that I had was that we might end up having to fight Hydaelyn. I would not be shocked if at least one of the final bosses that we have to fight is Hydaelyn. And that we are forced to destroy Hydaelyn. That would not surprise me at all. As to like what the final big bad is gonna be, not sure. Who knows? It might be some kind of, you know, Hydaelyn Zodiac fusion. Who knows? We'll see. We will see. And as far as like the other Ascians, what they might actually do is help us with obtaining the means to get to the moon, and probably telling us that the moon is in some way important, giving us that bit of information, because I think that the method they will use to get to the moon, words in the correct order, is going to be of Amarantine origin, not Allagan origin. From the you know, teaser video we've got of the moon zone, there's definitely some Allagan style constructs there to basically make it look like that the Allagans attempted to get to the moon at some point themselves. But I think that the actual method we're going to use is going to be derived from the Amarantine technology. Something hidden and undisturbed this time, to this point, that we will find. Because we did see a dungeon that had a lot of Amarantine architecture. It was really strange looking. It had like all these like separated biomes and kinds of other stuff. It looks like a research facility where they were experimenting with things. So that might be in some way related. Now, the other thing that I am definitely anticipating that we will have in the expansion is a major character death of some description. I don't believe that it will be a Scion. Though if it were to be a Scion, the only ones that I could think of that wouldn't cause an absolute riot of the from the player base would be either Thancred or Oriange. I mean, they would still be still probably piss off a lot of people, but because those two are, you know, fan favorites. But if they were to kill off, say, Y'shtola or one of the twins or Estinian or God forbid Grahatia, they would have like half the player base at Square Enix headquarters bashing down the door. So I don't see that happening. If I were to guess about a character who has kind of been a little bit prominent in the last few, pieces of the story, who I could definitely see getting killed, would be Fordola, as kind of a noble self-sacrifice as part of her redemption arc, right? Could absolutely see that. I would not expect Arenvald to be killed, primarily because they already had their chance to do it and they didn't take it. So I don't think they will. But Fordola, I could definitely see. Now, it could also be a new character that gets introduced in the expansion that we come to really like and then gets killed, because that's happened before. So, we'll see. Kind of a la Mefrid. Right. So we'll see about that. Another thing, not really a prediction, but what I would really like to see, I really hope they do, is at the end of 6.0, which is the end of the major story arc, the end of the whole story arc, is to have a time skip. Not a very long time skip. I would say maybe, few years at most, like 5 years, somewhere around that time frame. Enough to kind of, to still keep the same characters that we've been, that we've grown to know and love to this particular point, to still keep them around, but to give some time for some off-screen growth or things to happen, for the world to change enough that, we can spend some time re-exploring it a little bit. And also, get the twins to kind of reach their adult stage and, that sort of stuff. And there's any number of mechanisms that they could use to do it. I mean, they could just do a hard cut and just say, hey, 5 years later. Or they could have some mechanism in the actual story. We do know that stasis technology exists, so something may happen where we need to get thrown into stasis for 5 years or so until they can figure out what to do about something. Or we also know that, when crossing the rift, time can flow at different rates. And so we may have to go into the rift at some point to go to some new area, and that, the few hours we spend in that area causes years to pass on the source. That could definitely also be done. Now, one of the crazier ideas that I had kind of floating around in my head, I definitely don't think they will do it. I don't think it's even really possible in a way that would be narratively satisfying or make any sense. And that is if they were to give Xenos a full-on heel face turn. And to have him join forces with us. He does call us his friend. And on a piece of poster art that they showed at the keynote during FanFest, shows a picture of the Scions, our character and the Scions, all of our friends and allies, and then standing next to us is Xenos. Nowhere on there is Fandaniel shown, but Xenos is there. That's kind of what put the seed of that thought in my head, that could they potentially give Xenos, a heel face turn? That'd be nuts if they did. Again, I don't think they could. It can be pulled off, but hey, you never know. Just trying to think, is there anything else? don't think so. He's probably everything I can think of right now. If anybody else has any other predictions or ideas that they might have for the expansion, what we might see, go ahead and put them in the comments. And so what that does, that brings me to what my plans are for the expansion and for the Let's Play series moving forward. Well, for the immediate plans right now, I've thought about what all my options are, what I could do, and what I've decided is to go ahead and put the series on hiatus until the expansion comes out. There's any number of things that I could do to kind of fill the space. We could do. There's a bunch of raid series I haven't done on this character. I haven't done Coil. I haven't done Alexander. I haven't done Omega. I had to do all the Rabadaster raids. And the Void Arc raids because I obviously have been working on the Bozja content and my relic weapon, which is fully upgraded. And I did all that off screen as well. And I thought that, you know, maybe we could squeeze one of those in. But ultimately decided that, nah, I'll just go ahead and leave that unshown. And leave that for players to experience themselves. Because I definitely have decided with this particular game that I'm not showing everything, and I don't want to show everything that the game has to offer on the series, primarily because I want people to play the game themselves, right? And leave some stuff for people to see for themselves. If they decide from watching my particular series that, hey, you know what, that game looks cool, let me play it, let me create an account, sign up, start the free trial, which lasts until level 60 and gives you access to the entire Heavensward expansion now. This is a great time to go ahead and jump into the game if you haven't yet. And so, I want to leave some stuff that people, if they're watching me, can, experience fresh without having seen me do it. That's my thinking anyway. So that brings me to what my plans are for the expansion. Obviously, I've pre-ordered. Means I will have access on the 19th of November as opposed to the 23rd, which is the official release, because if you pre-order, you get early access to the expansion. But I do not want to start posting any content from the expansion right away. I want to leave it 2 to 3 weeks, probably. It'll be more like 3 weeks before I start posting anything. I will be recording stuff pretty much right away, and I'll probably build up a rather significant pile of episodes before I start posting them. Because, again, I don't want to be posting story spoilers from the expansion, like, right away. I want to give, like, a few weeks for people to actually play the thing before I start posting videos about it. So, that's the plan there. Now, as far as what kind of content that I'm going to be doing, I have 2 ideas. The first is easy. Just continue doing what I've been doing. Just, as a normal Let's Play series, pre-record everything and post them as an episodic Let's Play series. Now, the other idea that popped in my head, and I haven't entirely dismissed as an option, is to try my hand at doing this game as a live stream. Or probably once a week on Saturdays for a couple of hours. I haven't really done any live streaming at all. Primarily because I'm just comfortable with the Let's Play format. Where I record it, if I have any issues or anything comes up, I can cut and, you know, remove, you know, anything and keep it nice and clean. And, you know, lets me do it whenever, you know, I can fit things into the schedule. Sometimes I have to kind of move stuff around, you know, but I always like to get, you know, my episodes posted every day. So, but I'm not entirely, you know, against trying it as a live stream. The hurdle that I have with live streaming is that I don't like to watch live streams. Just my preference. I prefer kind of the more kind of coherent, you know, specific content of, you know, an episodic Let's Play series as opposed to the more free form aspect of the live streams. Because a lot of times, a lot of the streamers that I've tried to watch get distracted, like, by their chat while they're in the middle of playing the game, and so miss stuff, and that's annoying. And then, you know, they might just sit there and not do anything for, I've seen like 10, 15, 20 minutes. Live streamers just sitting there talking to chat instead of actually playing the game I'm there to watch, which is also, I find, annoying. So, given that I don't particularly prefer the format to watch, I haven't really considered it as a format to produce content with. So, there's that. But again, as I said, I'm not against it entirely. I haven't completely dismissed it. So, what I might end up doing is on the Discord server for the channel that I barely use for anything, unfortunately, I might post a link to a poll about it and just kind of get some feedback in maybe a few days and just kind of see what thoughts are from people who are watching this content. So there's that. But again, if I were to do it as a live stream, the live streams would not be starting until, again, probably 3 weeks after the official release of the expansion, again, to avoid putting spoilers out there too soon. So that's where that is. And I think that's everything that I wanted to talk about today. I can't think of anything else. So yeah, we'll go ahead and I'll stop yapping here and look forward to the content and the new expansion in whatever form that takes. All right, so I will see you guys next time.